fuck yeah, let it be.
Enemy spotted.
Today we're gonna keep it real with another video to level up your CS game. In this one, I'm gonna spill the tea on the most common mistakes that 99% of players make. And yeah, you are no exception. We all stumble on the CS grind, but I'm dropping this video for you to share my knowledge and help you fast-track your journey. But before we dive in, I gotta ask you to smash that like button, hit subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss out on dumb content. I mean 98% of you watching my videos without subscribing, so come on, show us some love. And make sure to stick around till the end of the video to avoid any slip-ups from the point on. Alright, so let's break down the 7 deadly sins of CS gameplay, starting with the constant position swapping. Now imagine this, one round you're holding down B, then you're on A for 2 rounds, and suddenly you decide to camp out in mid for 3 rounds. Now that's not the move, especially if you're aiming for the win. Sure, it's cool to switch things up, but only when it makes sense. For instance, if you're sniping, being versatile is key. You gotta keep moving across the map, hunting for those open frags and catching your opponents off guard. Or, let's say your teammate is struggling to hold their ground. In those cases, switching positions becomes a necessity, and it could make or break the match. Most of the time, it's gut feeling, like you just know it's gotta be an A hit, and you gotta play in that way. But here's the kicker, most of the time you're wrong, and you end up messing up your teammates' positions or leaving a side wide open. Of course, there are days when you're on fire, reading your opponents like a book or wiping them out left and right, and their moves seem as obvious as daylight, almost comical. But here's the thing, these matches are rare. You gotta understand it's not about luck, it's about having a solid grasp of the game and a well-honed play style. Every move you make should be deliberate, with a clear understanding of what you're doing. And the biggest reason why you shouldn't be switching positions so often is experience. It's simple logic. The more you stick to one position, the more you learn about it. Tricks, timing, potential outcomes, you name it. But you can only gain that knowledge by committing to a position and fully understanding your role on it. Let's talk about the second blunder. Lack of focus on shooting, or what I like to call lazy aim. So what's the deal with that? Picture this, a top-tier player takes down the opponent and smoothly transitions their crosshair to the next. Bam, another kill. Meanwhile, a weaker player after getting one kill loses focus and struggles to aim at the next target. That's the difference between a boss and a noob right there. But what's the root cause? It's all about training and having the right expectations. Let's tackle the expectations first. If you've been grinding hard for a week and you haven't hit the top tier level or gotten an invite to FPL, chill out, it's all good. Trust me, I've been there. Showing you how a level 6 bot shoots compared to someone with 2200 elo won't make much of a difference. You don't need to grind 5 hours a day to have a sick aim. In fact, that will probably hurt more than help. The sweet spot? No more than 2 hours a day, spent on focus training. I've got a video on this topic, check it out, it's up there in the top right corner. Let's tackle the third mistake, unnecessary movements and bad habits. You know what I'm talking about, constantly bunny hopping, switching to your knife while blasting Fong in the background. But here's the deal, all these flashy moves, they're just distractions, whether you do them separately or all at once. So here's the challenge for you. Try going a few days without all those extra movements. Only whip out your knife when you really need to dash across the map quickly. Drop your results in the comments. I'm curious to see how many of you will say it made no difference. Now onto the fourth mistake, freezing up in clutch situations. This is a biggie for beginners. Inexperienced players tend to freeze, panic sets in, and suddenly it's a mess. Mistakes, misclicks, you name it. Here are some advice for you. First things first, take a deep breath and recall all the info you have about your opponents. To ease the pressure, try to take down the closest opponent if the situation allows it. Then it's down to 1-on-1. For most, it's a 50-50 situation, but if you stay focused and composed, it can easily tilt to 80-20. In these moments, remember that it's okay to lose a clutch situation. It's not the end of the world. Keep that in mind and do what you know how to do. The fifth mistake is relying too much on your teammates. Personally, I'd never count on them, even in 2-on-1 situation. Always play as if you're on your own. It's easy to say you thought someone had your back rather than taking full responsibility. I can say this from my experience because I consistently play that way. Passing the buck on to someone else isn't the path to personal growth. Don't be afraid to take matters into your own hands because the Counter-Strike nowadays, if you don't clutch it solo, no one else will. Going to the mistake number 6 is the fear of losing or dropping that precious ranking. Let me share my take on losses. When I step into the match, I know there is no one who can match me in this game, and the only chance of losing is poor communication with my teammates. This mindset won't shake your morale, allowing you to bounce back in the next game. Ultimately, your profile's number don't really matter. Today you might have 2000 elo, tomorrow 2500, the day after that back to 2000 or even 1800. It doesn't mean a thing. Losses are as much a part of the game as victories. They've always been, they are, and they will be. The only thing you need to know about losses is that you need to analyze them, and that smoothly brings us to the final mistake. The last mistake is the inability to analyze the mistakes I've pointed out in the video or those you may have missed. To progress, you need to learn from your mistakes. Take some time to sit down and genuinely think about where and how you're going wrong and how to fix it. Excuses like blaming your team won't cut it. Watch your own demos and understand your own issues so that the phrase "bad team" can no longer be a cover-up for your mistakes and failures. So those were all the main mistakes that 99% of players make. If you start analyzing everything I've said, you'll see changes in your game within 1 or 2 months. If you enjoyed this video, share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe you have something to add or want to share your own experience. Write about it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Help me reach my first 1000 subscribers. That's all for now. We'll say goodbye and see you in the next video.